Alright, so I'm going to be doing something a little bit different on the channel that I've not really ever done before, and it's just because my curiosity in James Gunn's new DC universe that has recently just started with Creature Commandos and is starting in film with Superman next year has kind of blossomed to its peak. Again, right now, I'm more addicted to what's going on in that universe than what a fat kid who plays Call of Duty is addicted to Doritos and Mountain Dew. It's just really fascinating what's going on. So in today's video, I figured, you know what, let's do something interesting and give you guys my thoughts and opinions and prediction with how I think James Gunn is going to plan out this new DC universe that he is, of course, officially building. Now, again, it's a little bit different to the content I usually do, but if you guys are here for the ride, I hope you enjoy it nonetheless, because, yeah, this video is going to be taking me some time to put together, and I could be definitely doing probably more things valuable with my life and time, like texting absolute baddies on Tinder right now. But again, before we do get into all of that and more, there's still a decent amount of you guys who watch these videos who are not yet subscribed to the channel. So if you could do me a massive favor and leave a like on the video and subscribe just to let me know you guys enjoy it and whatnot. And I guess without further ado, let's just get straight into it with the first movie, which is the obvious one because the first couple are already confirmed. We have Superman officially coming out on the 11th of July 2025, and then of course in 2026 we know that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is going to come out on June 26, 2026, and Clayface is supposed to come out on September 11, 2026 as well. Again, we recently just found out that Jason Momoa has officially been cast to play Lobo in Supergirl, and it will be filming, I think, on January 13th of 2025, with Craig Gillespie, the Australian director, of course, making the film. So I'm very excited for that one. And again, Clayface is super interesting as well, because apparently that movie is supposed to be R-rated or MA-15 at the least, with Mike Flanagan, of course, one of the best recent horror filmmakers, actually, I think, executive producing it and writing the film. So I'm very interested to see how they're going to do that, especially on a reported $40 million budget. Again, now once we know all of that is coming, it's time to get into the interesting stuff. And I don't actually think we're going to be getting another movie in 2026. Again, we were supposed to be getting the Batman Part 2, which is a non-DCU film, at the end of that year, but we know that's going to be, delayed till 2027, which we'll actually talk about later because I've got some thoughts and opinions on that movie. Again, starting off in 2027 though, I've actually got them releasing The Authority in February. Now, The Authority is, of course, a group of characters in DC, which, I mean, once you already mentioned group of characters in a superhero film being made by James Gunn, you already know they are going to absolutely cook with it. Again, I'm not too big on The Authority, and I really haven't researched them as much as I should, but I'm very much happy to be, again, more or so introduced to them by James Gunn in this movie. Again, I know they have something to do with Superman at times, and it does look like Superman is going to be in almost a project every year, with him appearing in the Superman movie. Again, David Corenswet most likely making a cameo in the Supergirl movie, and I'm of course sure he is going to have some type of impact and role in the Authority movie, which I believe will come out early on in the year. Again, another film that's kind of been recently teased to be coming actually sooner than later does happen to be a Sergeant Rock movie, which I've got here releasing on June in 2027. Again, it is being worked on as we speak right now, with Daniel Craig reportedly being very early on eyed to play Sergeant Rock. Again, we really don't know much about this movie so far besides the screenwriter, who, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to absolutely butcher this man's name, but it's Justin Koretskis or something. Yes, I know I just sound like I have Tourette's trying to pronounce that. But he actually recently just executive produced a movie called Queer, which had Daniel Craig star in that as well. So it does seem that they really want to get Daniel Craig to play this role, and judging from how the comics look of this World War II fighter, you really do see that this guy looks exactly like him. And with Daniel Craig's serious tone, and this movie being a much more serious movie, I think, rather than the lighter Superman film, I think he could actually be a really good actor in this film as well. Again, another movie which I don't think will be low budget, but will be a lot more cheaper and easier for them to, of course, make than probably the big, very high budget movies like Superman. Again, those are the two movies I definitely feel like are going to come out in 2027. And if we're sticking to what James Gunn says, that they will most likely release only 2 movies every year, then that's probably the ones I would pick. But a movie I also think I want to talk about here is the other 2027 film that we know is confirmed, which is the Batman Part 2, which I am putting on this video of DCU movies because we have heard a lot of theories and rumors and leaks over the last couple weeks that the rumor of why this movie has been delayed so many times is that James Gunn and Robert Pattinson have convinced Matt Reeves to include this in the DCU, and he's of course had to change the script up a little bit to do certain things to incorporate certain DC elements. So I genuinely believe that this could be, if they were to do a third DCU movie this year, this could be it. Again, it could also just be a DC Elseworlds movie like it's supposed to be, but even though I was under that impression for the longest time, I really genuinely feel like they may be making this a DCU movie at this rate. And John Campier, one of the big movie YouTubers out there, did also say that Matt Reeves is going to have a massive involvement in DC going forward, and that will be announced most likely this year. And of course, he's executive producing the Clayface movie, I believe, as well. And I think that James Gunn and Robert Pattinson, who is apparently on board with this idea, has potentially convinced him that they will be doing this in the DCU now. So if it is, then it is. If it's not, then it's not. But I thought I'd talk about that quickly too. Again, in 2028, if they don't do the Batman Part 2, I think they will release The Brave and the Bold. Again, in 2028, following the Batman Part 2 now, I do actually have them releasing Swamp Thing in June. Again, we know James Mangold is currently working on a couple things here and there, and I believe at this point he's working on his Star Wars movie, which he should be finishing up by 2026, I believe, which means that he will now have time to work on the Swamp Thing movie. So I think the latest we'd get it is probably 2028 at this point, although it could push to 29. Again, this is supposed to be another one of those lower budget films that will be an MA-15 R-rated type film as well. Again, something very different to the superhero movies we are getting nowadays, and a very big refreshment that James Gunn isn't just making these PG movies for everyone, that he is really trying to change the narrative of superhero movies and go deeper into the more gritty, darker films that are rated harsher, again, while also producing the lighter tone films like the Superman as well. So the range and variety in his DC universe is really cool, and I'm super excited to see what they're going to do with Swamp Thing. Again, I think in September we may see the Bane and Deathstroke movie, which we also know is in the works. Again, this is being said to be an overall potential villains Batman movie as well. Again, there is a Batman group called the Secret Society, which this movie could mainly be about. Again, about a bunch of Batman villains, but of course, Bane and Deathstroke maybe are like the main two of them. So again, I'm assuming Batman will be in this film. Most likely Robert Pattinson at this point, I want to say, but who knows? They really could continue with this Brave and the Bold thing. So again, not much is really known about this movie other than that so far. The other one I think they will do in 2028, if they do the 3 movies, is Teen Titans, which I have in November. Again, we do know that this script is being done by the same person who did the Supergirl movie, as well as we know that it will be the original team from the cartoons as well, and anime that we have kind of seen. They won't be changing out any characters, so we will be seeing Dick Grayson's Robin, I believe, as, of course, the main Robin, with Starfire, Beast Boy, Raven, and, of course, Cyclops, Cyborg as well. So I'm very, very excited to see that movie. Again, in 2029, this could be the year we do get Brave and the Bold early on. If they don't want to do Robert Pattinson's Batman, that could be on there. But I do actually only have them releasing 2 movies this year, just because I don't know what's going on with the Batman stuff. But of course, in June, I do have them releasing Justice League New Frontier, which I am pretty sure will be made by James Gunn. I'm not exactly too sure on that. There have been a lot of rumors going around that James Gunn will do his Justice League movie very soon and will do a Superman movie back to back. So if we are going, off that, I think it would be interesting if in the first half of the year they actually did a Justice League New Frontier movie in June, and then by maybe November or December we got Superman Part 2. Again, I don't think they're going to be wanting to wait too long for a Superman movie, of course. I don't think they're going to be wanting to do that at all, but I think James Gunn, he probably already has a script ready to go for Superman Part 2. I'd imagine he'd get all the Justice League stuff, all done first, and they'd work on all that script. And even though a 6-month turnaround does sound a little quick, I mean, we've seen people do it before. I mean, I feel like Zack Snyder, he kind of made the Rebel Moon stuff like all together. And not that they were good, but you've also got James Cameron, and he did, of course, like 2 or 3 Avatar movies all at the same time. Again, they all got delayed because every single thing in all of them is just completely CGI. And then we obviously know that Marvel, they did the Avengers movies back to back pretty much, and they obviously released a year apart just because they wanted to give people some space. But I don't think you need to do space between a Justice League and Superman movie. So I'm wondering if they could go with that, or it might just be the more logical thinking of, we'll get a Brave and the Bold movie at the start of the year, then we'll get the Justice League later on, and then maybe the next year after, in 2030, we would of course be getting a Superman Part 2. Again, it just feels like a 5-year wait from Superman to Superman Part 2 is a long time. Again, there's still some projects I didn't mention, like Wonder Woman and all that type of stuff, but there have been a lot of reports that the video game in development right now at DC could be a Wonder Woman game. So if that's true, we might not be getting a movie on that. But again, I'm very much interested to see how you guys all think about this. When do you guys think we're going to be getting the DC movies and whatnot? I'd very much like to know. Of course, subscribe to this channel for all latest, stuff like that. Mainly just comment your thoughts and opinions. I'd very much like to hear. Subscribe to my sports channel, my IRL/long channels. Links for them will be in the description down below. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.